something which is basically I don't know how to start. So let's put it this way. What I've been working on in the past week or so is this thing with the smart contract, where you know the idea is you go and kind of mint an NFT that's like your raw recording or a raw content object about like some research or problem solving that you're doing. Let's just say research. I mean, it could also be learning, whatever it is that shows a real human thinking through a process. And you upload that to IPFS, or I've been doing a bit of research. It turns out probably the best idea is Filecoin, because actually Filecoin is what adds that incentive layer on top. Like IPFS is just a raw network, and so it won't, like, you won't get your files to stick unless other nodes in the network pull the data, right? And so what IPFS does is basically what Filecoin does is adds an incentive layer, an economical incentive layer on top of that. So it basically pays nodes to actually pull information. So I mean, essentially, it is what it is, right? If you want your data to be hosted somewhere that's not in your computer, you better pay for it, right? I mean, that's the whole essence of that economy, right? It's really in a way a marketplace. So I haven't yet really gone through all. That's not relevant. Really, that's not relevant for the smart contract stuff, because the smart contract just cares about, like, I want to have a content ID. I want to have a content ID. I want to mint a. Basically, I want to mint a piece of raw content, and I want to get compensated for these. That's the idea, right? You get compensated with something. The problem is, and that's kind of why I also phrase these short, brief stream as like the hard questions, right? The problem is, why would you even do that, right? Like, what does this give you? Okay, let's say you have, it's sort of a cryptocurrency that it's a custom currency called ANSYS coins or whatever it is, right? And then, sure, you can maybe have that listed in an exchange like Coinbase, I guess. And then this currency has intrinsic, or has an extrinsic, I'd say, value, because you can exchange it for fiat currency, right? But that's maybe too much, like, I don't know, naive is the right word. It's like, it would be cool if that currency has value, intrinsic value, right? You can do something else with it than just turn it into dollars or euros or whatever it is that your currency is. So that's one of the hard questions, right? What could you do with these? Well, so I mean, if I think about these, is like it brings, because reading about Falcon, I realized that, I mean, if you don't build essentially a marketplace, then why do you even want a currency, right? Like, it means, if what I mean is, if you upload stuff to get something in exchange, is because this something in exchange is valuable somehow to you, and then so who's the where's the demand, and where's the demand and the I forgot the stupid word in English, the supply, exactly. So validators also get money, also get the currency, right? Get coins, because they are validating, so they're bringing value to the whole thing. But essentially, the whole goal of these was like, okay, what if? So what's the point of doing that? The point is to build a distributed list of these pieces of content that we could use to train an AI, right, or train a machine to learn and to reason like a human would do, essentially. But then the point is like, what's the what's the value for the consumer? What's the value for someone who wants to consume that piece of information? Whether it's a machine, whether it's a human that wants to download the data set. Like, what stops me from just running just basically building an archive in Filecoin by hand, where it's like, go ahead, you can upload stuff here and that's it, right? There's I'm kind of like, I almost feel like there's the whole contract side of this project is what I'm questioning at the moment, and I'm like, what's the point? What is it that, like, someone's looking, like, staking NFTs? What's the value of staking NFTs? What is it that you're doing with? And I won English. So you stake NFTs on the platform in exchange for staking rewards and other benefits. Is known as NFT staking. But what do these platforms stake out of the staking? It has become the new means to earn passive income in the crypto world. Hodlers hold NFTs, invest in decentralized finance systems. Decentralized finance brings the blockchain. Splinterlands is a blockchain-based collectible card game similar to Hearthstone, which players collect and use cards. Is set up as a DAO and Binance Smart Chain. But this is not staking, this is just, similarly, holders of V tokens can pool their holdings in automated market makers, whatever, Ban NFT, Dodge Capital. Is staking NFTs a smart investment? What is it that these platforms stake out of that? Because I can understand staking coins, right? Like, makes sense because you stake your ETH, right? So you're literally borrowing your ETH. It's a bit like a kind of a loan mechanism, right? But in this case, it's like, what is it? Locking up non-fungible tokens on a platform in exchange for staking rewards and other benefits allows holders to earn an income from their collectibles while maintaining ownership. But what the fuck do they do with these NFTs, the platform, right? You lock tokens in a digital wallet to support a blockchain network's operations and security in exchange for rewards. I don't know. I have to think about these. Because this is the same thing here. It's like, what? Purchase a ban NFT, register your NFT into the club, stake your ban NFT, publishing royalties pool. I guess this is what. Maybe I can check that in detail. So, what is it that this is doing? Go to roadmap, streaming, band music. So, publishing royalties, so stake band, so mechanical and public performance royalties pool, music synchronization royalties pool. By staking, so you buy the NFT and then you stake the NFT. And what? Like, what is it that you're doing then? You're doing a public performance royalties pool, publishing royalties pool. So you're being because essentially we should probably be doing the same, right? Rather than give just a one-time reward to the owner, then it's basically you're staking that, and so by staking you're just kind of giving the I'd say you reward the owner of that material every time that specific content is used to train is used to train an AI in a way, right? So that's probably the best way to do this, right? It's just you're aggregating these data, but I mean this data is public in a way, right? It's kind of yeah, like it's kind of, I mean it's not public, right? If I'm in the owner of some of these and I just put these in Filecoin, like Filecoin, right, at the end of the day you kind of have all these information across the network, and so nobody really stops you from, like, let's put it this way, we don't really want to get into a setup where we have to think about security and who takes what and whatever it is, right? But essentially by just having maybe these NFTs stoke whatever the present perfect of stake is, you want to be able to kind of capitalize on that. So essentially, whenever someone wants to use the data to train something, they essentially actually use ANSYS coin to get access to the data, and then this is then spread across the owners and validators, maybe, right? Yeah. So that could be one way of thinking about these. It's just I'm not so sure. It's like, yeah, why not, right? I mean, essentially that is the marketplace, right? So get that stuff, mint it, and then provide that data set, basically, right? Yeah. I don't know if that is the, I mean, what will be, so the way that this work is you would actually basically have to pay to the contract for the contract to give you the CIDs, right? For the contract to give you actually the access. I don't know if there's a more advanced way of doing that where maybe things are stored encrypted in the Filecoin network, and then the contract gives you basically a way to decrypt these things. Maybe that's the idea, and then you can use the contract to actually pull in these. Yeah, probably that's what we have to do. So I think that kind of makes more sense, right? So I'd say if, and it should in a way be a kind of zero sum, or not zero sum, but what I mean is like if the every time someone's paying, every time someone wants to access that stuff, they basically get a they pay, say, 1 coin, and so half the coin goes to, or whatever, like 70% of that goes to the owner, and the rest goes to maybe the validators or something like that. So it also is an extra incentive for people to validate stuff. And although I'm currently not keeping track of the validators, so the validators just get rewarded. No, probably validation should just kind of give you an initial reward, and that's it, just a one-time reward for validating. Yeah, so you're incentivized to keep validating, otherwise you're not, right? Or it would become a bit more competitive. Yeah, but I think that is probably what one should be using. Join the network, community governance. Yeah. I mean, essentially, it's independent. Like the contract is independent on. It doesn't care whether you've stored it in Filecoin or you just have it in your own node in IPFS. You just want a content ID. And if you're the owner of that content ID and you're stupid and just make it public, then you're not gonna make any money with it. Again, right? It's like we don't want to make we don't want the actual contract to make money. We don't want the actual DApp, or we don't know, we don't want that thing in itself to kind of make any money. It's just a way to in a fully distributed way to kind of collect these content IDs and then incentivize people to kind of pull these things together so that others want to consume from them, and they and then this is kind of like exchange, right? Yeah, maybe I think that that could probably be it, to be honest. If I go to Replit and I take a look at the code, this means essentially I don't care about this. Essentially I just want a CID. But okay, it actually does have an implication, which is what if the CID is not valid, right? So here we have basically the validate function. So what we will be basically doing is, I think we'll keep that. I think we'll reward the owners every time it gets validated 3 times. But then there is going to be another function, which is basically consume. It's not consume, but basically, I don't know. Get CID, right? And so I don't know how you do that. I think that it's, to be honest, I don't know how you do that, because I think that has to be payable, right? I think that is an actual what does payable mean? I don't know, but I think what it means is it's telling you actually have to send money. It's an action that requires you to pay money. So it's not just the gas and stuff, but it requires you to pay something, I think. Public. And then what this get CID will do is kind of, it will return a valid CID. The thing is, I don't know if there's not a way, a way to validate. What if this is not available yet? I think if we go this route, we have to think about a mechanism of like, okay, are these things really still there and accessible? Because if I'm a consumer and I pay for these, and then it's just a cat video, or it's not really the thing that's supposed to be. We don't want a person to have to pay for these, and we don't want, and we want to penalize the owner and the validators. Man. I think we should actually we'll end up having to keep a list of validators and what validators validated what things, because otherwise there's no skin in the game. So validations, you know what I mean? So we need like list of validators and the tokens they validated, that for sure. So, and we need to basically store validator and token pair. Yeah. It's kind of complicated, but it seems like we have to go that way, where we add, like where validators must probably add some kind of collateral or something like that. It's like the same way that Filecoin does it, right? So a storage provider has to provide a collateral, and then if it doesn't pass some of the checks, then some of this collateral is just taken by the contract, just takes it. I think there's no way that we can get around this, because if we want people to pay in order to consume this the content for whatever need they might have, what we'll probably do is a valid CID. If we find I don't know how do you do that, but I don't know if we should have like a regular check. Probably should have a regular check. I don't know how you do that, probably off chain, right? This maybe there should be some kind of mechanism where the NFT, also the owners, actually prove that they still have that stored somewhere, and if they fail to do that, then they get penalized, right? Maybe the way to do that is the following. And maybe that removes the need for validators. Maybe what we should do is function that would be just an idea, right? Like function something that basically owners must provide some proofs regularly, otherwise the NFTs age and they are gone, stopping any sort of rewards, you know. And so this means that there is a certain commercial involvement. If you want to provide your NFT, if you want to provide these data in there, you must invest at least once a month, kind of spending a certain amount of time. So it's a bit of an incentive not to have cat videos in there. You still need validators probably. The problem is you still need someone who kind of catches the fact that, you know, that is just not a proper video, not a cat video, right? I have to think about this a bit more. So, but the idea of the owners, and I got inspired by the way that Filecoin works, where it's like they regularly have to provide some proof of space-time storage and stuff like that, and you know, something that tells that their contract is still something that they fulfill, right? So the owner's got to still prove regularly that there is something in there, and that it's not a cat video. And that means there's this kind of money involved. Yeah, and maybe owner's collateral. I don't know. They should, right? One time. It almost feels like that's just, I know it's standard stuff, but it almost feels like if we want to turn that into this kind of marketplace, that's got to be in place, right? Validators also collateral. Validators probably don't need collateral, because validators is like, you already have to pay to validate. You validate because you want to have like this one-time rewards. The thing is, you can't really, you don't have an incentive to fake validation, right? because essentially you do. I mean, because validation requires some effort. You have to take a look at maybe the video, and you know, the reason I don't like validation is because it's still left to human interpretation, right? Like you can just always have people. You could also always just have people saying, "Ah, that's not, you know, that's not really what we're looking for," when it really is. Maybe misinterpretation of, like, I don't like that. That's just too much error prone. But this, I don't know how we could replace validators, human validation, with a mechanism that, what would incentivize, let's put it this way, what would incentivize, you know, what would incentivize the owners to not upload cat videos? Yeah, because on the consumer end, you might just take a CID, but you also will probably just take a lot of them, right? And so you are not going to be able to go one by one and check whether they are cat videos. The validation needs to be there. It needs to be a human validation. But it's almost like, man, I don't know. How does Wikipedia curate stuff? I mean, you just have people curating that thing, that, you know, kind of, you do actually have people that go and check that things are correct. What are the incentives, right? For doing that. In this case, you will actually have, yeah, you need that. You need the validation. Ah, damn, it's too complicated. No, I think we need the validators. Validators need to put in some collateral as well. But then why? Yeah, well, if... No, validators don't need to provide collateral. That's why you kind of have the system where you have, like, you know, people are given a random CID to actually validate that. You need 3 validations for this to get done. So, you know, you assume overall the chances, the chances that validations are evil is like you need a lot of people with a lot of different addresses paying all the money to actually break that somehow, right? It's probably the math, but I think that's fine. But the owners need collateral because the owners, collateral for availability, essentially, not for the content itself, right? It's fine, the content, because then the content is like, you get into disputes, right? Like 2 validators say, shit, that's a cat video, and then you're gonna like, then you're gonna have to get people involved. Now that's more for availability, because availability is something that can be checked automatically. So with the aging mechanism, exactly, because you want to at least the thing to be available, so it can be consumed. And the cat videos, you just rely on the sort of 3 reviewers mechanism and the random CID provisioning, so that you're providing a random CID to review, and you don't let the validator choose, because then they will be able to choose their own cat videos to validate their own cat videos, and you don't want to do that. But so you need to get CID which returns a valid CID, and so that you just pay for it, get it. And I think that aging mechanism provides you the guarantee that the things exist. Look, maybe we don't need to. Why do I need a collateral? We don't want people to kind of, it's like, oh, if you do that, you're gonna get penalized. Actually, you're not gonna get penalized, you know. If I don't want to have the thing available, then I don't have it available, and that's it. Cool. I have to go, but I think that is really the way that it should go about. So that aging, we're forcing people that otherwise we get the CIDs out of the list, and this means they don't make any more money with these. So any more coins. I think that's the only thing I need to add. This, and I need to add the sort of the refresh age function. Refresh age, and they have to regularly call that. Yeah, I think that's a good addition. I think that could work. I think that could be an interesting concept. Yeah. See you next time.